Hey, Crypto Growth fam, how's it going? This is your host Shazib signing in. We're back with another video, folks. Flare building an economic layer. It's going to be an interesting one, guys, so make sure to watch till the end. And folks, for those of you who are new to the channel, we primarily discuss utility coins and potential gems. If you're interested in any of that stuff, then subscribe the channel and hit the notification icon for regular videos. Anyways, folks, I've brought a really interesting video for you guys over here. This is Hugo Fillion. We're going to be checking this out, the bits of this amazing video over here by Flarenetwork's official, folks. You have to watch this entire thing yourselves. 38 minutes long, but we're going to be checking out bits and pieces of it, the ones that we find interesting. Inside Flare's master plan, data, DeFi, and chain abstraction with none other than Hugo Fillion. And then we will check out some community posts as well, just like Flarenetwork's plans to handle tens of billions of dollars a day in the future, folks. So let us come over here and check this out. Let's start with this. Flare version 2. Vision, more interoperability, faster data, and abundant compute. Why do we want to check this one out? The reason is because Flare is constantly upgrading, it is constantly evolving, and Flare 2.2, Flare version 2 wants to do that, wants to be even better.
Kind of broadly break down what Flare's V2 looks like and why you guys approached it this way?
So Flare's V2 is more interoperability, more data, faster data. So at the moment, the interoperability is relatively it's constrained to bridges. So we can build a bridge with our data protocols. We can build something much cooler with V2. I'll come on to that when we cover protocol managed wallets. But then faster data. So at the moment, our data protocols require, they have off-chain components. But the way we can use V2, which is all based around TEs, we can essentially prove data onto the chain in real time instead of having to wait. So for instance, the Flare data connector currently is, I think, 90-second updates. We'll be able to do that on demand. And then the last leg of V2 is compute, which is any blockchain, doesn't matter how much compute it has, TPS, whatever, no blockchain can handle anything that looks like cloud computing. But really, the applications you have in blockchain are kind of still stuck in, the same kind of quality experience that people had during dial-up internet. They're very basic. They don't integrate large data sets. They integrate maybe a price update, maybe something slightly more complex than a price update, but not much more complex. Like, let's say you want to use a volatility surface for options. Completely impossible to do on chain, regardless of how fast the chain is. And so being able to apply compute, but safely, and in a way that is as close to the blockchain ethos as possible, so that it's verifiable, is really important. And so these are the three legs of V2, which is, massively more interoperability, much faster data, and highly, abundant compute so that you can.
Folks, in a nutshell, obviously any good project needs to be interoperable, it needs to be fast, and it has to deal with abundant data, because the new world, the new generation, it is all about data. As they say, data is the new oil, and Flarenetwork is playing with data, folks. It wants to make data even better. So this is great. Let's see what else we want to watch over here. Flare ecosystem today and goals, building a robust economic layer. So this is where the idea of the title comes from, building a robust economic layer. Folks, Flare not only wants to do something for for this industry, for the crypto industry, but it wants to create a robust layer for finance as a whole. Let's check this out. Flare's vision.
All of this ecosystem or all of this technology is in service.
By the way, I think we might see this the other two points as well, the other two segments, Flare's vision on XRP-Fi and Mega app on Flare, both of them. So this is a continuous these are continuous segments, so this is good. Let's check this out.
Service of basically the Flare ecosystem, right? You guys kind of want to be this economic layer, as you mentioned, kind of a London on which services, applications, industry is built. All this technology is dependent on that ecosystem having value. Talk to me about what the Flare ecosystem is today and what your objectives are on building that out over the next kind of period of time.
Absolutely. So the ecosystem's rapidly expanding. I think we launched USDT on Monday, and I think we're the second fastest growing chain in USDT world. So I think we're about $55 million of USDT 2 days later. So less than 2 days later. And, almost all of that's gone into DeFi immediately. So we got a big DeFi ecosystem, which is growing again very rapidly. If you're watching, very nice incentives in order to bring your funds to DeFi. And really, we launched USDT just now because we're gearing up for what we call XRP-Fi. So we set out to build this interoperable chain. Some of the chains that really need interoperability are in order to access DeFi, probably the most viable one is one that has, frankly, at least as large, if not given the day, larger FTV than Ethereum, right? But zero DeFi or very, very little DeFi, because all DeFi is built for EVM, and there just isn't a DeFi. It's really hard to do DeFi natively on the XRP ledger. So we're gearing up for essentially building a fully fledged DeFi ecosystem for XRP, and that's fundamentally going to be driven, I think, by a protocol that we've funded, being built by a party that is doing XRP restaking.
Okay.
So about securing services and other networks, so AVSs, through restaking protocol, but with XRP, issuing a liquid staking token on Flare, and that liquid staking token going into the DeFi ecosystem, so you'll be able to borrow it against XRP, you'll be able to borrow it against dollars, you'll be able to do looped lending, which is a very desirable thing to do in DeFi. You'll be able to use XRP as collateral for loans, for perps, for all those kind of things.
So the kind of concept here, or the goal here would be to kind of unlock the several hundred billions of dollars.
So that's the first step, right? That's like step one. Like, frankly, we could probably sit back if we achieve that. We could probably sit back and be happy with what we wanted to do. But we do want to go further. I do actually believe in building a mega app on Flare that can control tokens on multiple chains, and then using compute in order to do quite fancy things. So we have an RFP out for we're working with a group to build essentially a decentralized prime broker for crypto. And what that would do is that would some functions of prime broker, which is effectively extending margin. At the moment, the ecosystem of DeFi is quite fragmented, right? So you might be on one chain, you may have P&L on one chain, but you can't use that P&L on another chain, right? But in TradFi, if I've got a position in one market, I can recycle a good percentage of those funds to take a position in another market.
Right.
I can't do that in DeFi. I can't do that cross-chain. I can't do that on the same chain but with different apps, most of the time. Sure, there's some bits here and there. How would you do that? Well, you need a risk model. How do you have a risk model? Well, you can't run a risk model on chain, too many inputs, far too much compute needed. But you can't run a risk model off chain either completely, because it needs to be verifiable, because otherwise people are lending against something that they don't know what they're lending against, right? So you need a risk model that sits in a TE layer that is verifiable, and that you know what the parameters of the risk model are, and you know that the publisher of the risk model isn't going to change those parameters, and they know what rights they have to change the parameters. Let's hope it's a governance vote, from the lenders. These kind of things. It's like, how do you bring sophisticated DeFi on chain where you need compute, and that compute needs to correspond to effectively be fair on the people that are participating in that protocol in the way that DeFi is meant to achieve.
Right. So kind of another example of like basically
Folks, what I like about Hugo is the engagement, the constant engagement that he has with the investors, with the community. He is always active. If you watch his X handle as well, he's always active. He's one of the best team leaders out there in terms of updates, in terms of exposure, in terms of making people understand what Flare is all about. I really like what he does all the time, folks. Constant, hyperactive. Folks, these are some interesting points over here as well. We're going to be looking at these points over here. Flare, these segments, Flare's biggest competitors. This is an important segment, and a small one, but indeed important, that who are the biggest competitors, the biggest obstacles in the path of Flare, and then we've got the ultimate ambition, folks. So let's check this out.
Ethereum, XRP, something else?
No, I think we are fundamentally a utility maximizer of all of those protocols. I don't think people...
This is a huge word over here, utility maximizer of all those projects. It is not competing. It wants to provide a utility to those that are claiming to have utility. Now, this is indeed a game changer, folks.
I don't think we're really competing with anyone in that market. For instance, we're not competing with data protocols. I could give two stuffs what Chainlink does. We have our own data. We don't need theirs. We don't particularly want theirs. We don't like the way they work. But we're not trying to sell data to anyone. That's not our game. We leverage data on the chain because it's useful to the protocols we want to build. We're not a bridge protocol. We're not an interoperability protocol. We're not competing with Axelar. We're not competing with Stargate. If anything, we'd be augmenting them, because we'd probably be using some of those bridges to shuffle money around between a protocol managed wallet that is controlled by a protocol or multiple protocols on Flare to shuffle to rebalance using Stargate. So we're not a bridge protocol. We are a place where you can build incredibly useful applications. We're the only full stack blockchain in terms of data, consensus, EVM, and now compute in the space.
What do you think are the biggest obstacles to your ultimate vision?
Well, it used to be regulation, but I don't think that's an obstacle now. Education, understanding. I think crypto Twitter has a habit of focusing on things that VCs are interested in, and things that VCs are interested in are very rarely things that are actually, very few of them are successful. To be honest with you, there's an awful lot of investments that are made and they're not interesting, right. Or they don't turn out to be interesting.
Yeah, or they're interesting for a brief narrative cycle and then everyone forgets about them.
Exactly. So I think one of the biggest obstacles to the success of the whole space is that so many people watch what VCs say. They absolutely shouldn't, because they're pretty crap at their jobs, most of them.
What's your ultimate ambition for Flare? Like, what is the?
I want to handle billions, tens of billions of dollars a day.
And do you think that involves like a larger participation, in real world assets and the TradFi industry onboarding, or can that be achieved just
we can handle tens of billions of dollars a day just with DeFi. I think TradFi onboarding would be amazing. We have some plans there. Don't know if I'll pull them off, but they're very interesting if I do. But I think like DeFi is a big enough thing for Flare to chew by itself. TradFi would be an insane boost.
Right.
Indeed, folks, DeFi is a huge abyss. It is a huge, the sky's the limit for DeFi, and this is what we're talking about, handling billions of transactions per day, folks. Look at this, tens of billions of dollars a day. This is what we were talking about. Look at this Flare community over here. SGP boosting plus 36% moves on the back of F asset version 1.1 launch tomorrow. Flare patiently waiting in line. What happens next? History doesn't repeat itself, but it often rhymes. So this is what we're talking about. Mark Twain, Mr. Mark Twain. As you all know, one of the best writers, authors out there in history. I can't believe Flare is still 2 cents. The impact it will have once these protocols go live will be massive. Look at this, crypto is not ready for Flarenetwork's super app, an app so powerful it abstracts chain configurations and hides these complexities from the user, leaving them with a single network to perform actions on all integrated chains. The pillars of Flare 2.0 protocol managed wallets and verifiable compute. Awesome. Almost $2.5 billion of Flare burned. Look at this. Awesome. If you know, you know. The name says it all, by the way, Andrew. People keep saying that Flare can reach $1, but that it will take years to do that. For reference, and if a project like BNB can do it, we haven't seen unique use cases like Flare ever anywhere. So BNB took just 6 months in the 2017 bull run from 10 cents to $5 in 6 months for a 50x. BNB was a top 75 coin just like Flare is now. $1 Flare this run, who is with me? I think it will take time because the 2017 bull run was different from the current market. It is a lot more manipulated, to be very honest, but over the course of years it will get to that levels, and I'm fine with a lot of years, as you all know. Anyways, folks, what do you guys think about Flare Networks and its ultimate ambition? And do you think that it indeed is building a robust economic layer? I would really like your opinions. Do hit the comment box below and let the community know. Anyways, guys, this was it for the video. If you liked it, make sure to like, share, comment, subscribe, and hit the notification icon if you're interested in utility coins and potential gems. And you can also support the channel by checking out Decent and their discounts, as well as supporting on Patreon by following the links in the description box below. Until next time, stay blessed and stay tuned. Thank you very much, everyone.